Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And we're back with a return visit from the inimitable, amazing explorer, Robert Kryder from Kryder Explorations. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here, dude.
Always glad to have you, brother. Well, today we're just going to kind of touch base on what's been going on in life for the last year since you've been on here, and we had you on that epic episode of Conspiracy Corner, and we talked about Dr. Footprints. And, you know, you've done a whole lot of stuff in the Bigfooting world and other places.
Central New Mexico. And, yeah, that one was not, that one had a whole different flavor about it. It's not, I wouldn't have the same words in regards to how that expedition basically went. So it was fruitful as well. I mean, it really, really was. So, but, yeah, there was a concerted effort behind the scenes that I'm not going to go in detail about it because I hate to, because it just sounds nuts. People immediately would go, "Oh, sure, people would do that." People will do that. You'd be surprised.
Yes, they would.
And it surprised me to some degree. But like, I had actually spoken to you before I went on said expedition and said, "Well, let's find out about these guys. We'll take them. I'll see what side of the fence they're on. We'll take them. We'll see what they're made of, and we'll see what happens." And right, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Yep. And sure enough, there you go. I mean, you know, it's just like you were saying, and what was highly potentially accurate, and based on some of the stuff that went on. You know, when you show somebody hair samples on a twisted marker and scent post that you are already aware of from reuse for years and years and years, since 2010. So we're looking toward 13 years now, 12 years at the time. And I show them this signpost, just being gracious at one of my earlier sites before we went up on the mountain. We went through here and I was going to show them how the tracking stuff works so we could use it on the mountain. And so there was a hair deposition there. Some of it was a few years old, some of the hair, because we saw when it was deposited, there was new hair. And they had no interest at all in collecting it. And I thought, no, that's weird, because I told them, hey, if you guys want to take a little bit of this is good right here. We know who this came from, because we found this so many times with their feet print with all this other stuff, even with being around them and getting visuals, and then this is the hair, so, and they didn't want to collect any of it. And then it was interesting because the only hair they did want to collect was when on our way out, there was a downward facing branch. And I said, I have no idea. It was charcoal color. And I said, like a gray, almost a grayish tip to it. Now the big male is similar color to that, but I don't know what this is. There's no supportive evidence laying around it. And it's downward facing about 4 feet off the ground. So it's certainly within range to catch a horse or a cow or something else. I don't know what it is what I'm saying. So I told him, I don't know what this is. I said, here's hair on a downward snag, but I don't know what it is. I said, it could be the big male. I said, because he's similar color, but I couldn't guarantee you anything. It could be a cow. And they rushed over and wanted to collect that real fast. And I thought, now why in the world would you collect the stuff that I'm saying it's probably a cow? I don't know what this is. It could be winter. Cows will get fur on them, an inch long or whatever in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So, and so and on their head and stuff. So I thought, well, I thought that was weird. And then, when it comes down the tube, find out that it was actually a concerted effort to find out where the lodge is during that thing, and then jump that site, hire people to go in and make a big prediction about it, and with a monetary agenda. And then, and to discredit me. And so it was pretty interesting once we got back and kind of found out what was really going on. I had actually people write me that had found out about what they were going to do ahead of time, and they felt bad. And more than one felt bad afterwards, and wrote me and said, "Man, I should have told you what those guys were going to do. We got wind of that, a couple of months before you went." And so, but I mean, it was a good experience, and there was a lot of crying.
Clear conscience has I, because I told you, guy.
Yeah, and I, that's myself as well. I can have a clear conscience because it still gave people the benefit of the doubt, even with the high likelihood of it being a scam or whatever these guys were doing. I still gave them the benefit of the doubt. And but yeah, the stuff afterwards. I mean, the petty thing, like trying to take the money. We had money left because we were supposed to have a rental van, so lower impact, and there was a lot of reasons actually to do the van. And instead, they talked me into finding someone who could bring their family with them, their wife and son, so 3 people, to drive 3 vehicles instead of the van to save money, so it could be used on a future expedition and for KX future works and all this. So I thought, well, that's gracious, that's cool, and I made some calls and I agreed to pay this guy a portion of about a third of what the van would be to do this, so each of his family members could make a little money, and him for doing it, because it was a big pain in the ass. This is up down one lane mountain roads, take 3 vehicles, and you have to stage them all and bring them all up to pick up the team and all this. It's actually quite difficult, and so I agreed to that. But after everything was said and done, they actually called for an evac off the mountain. They got the guy's number. I couldn't get cell service. I was actually by my own looking for the proper trail to the lodge. When no one was supposed to be left alone, they were perfectly happy with me going on, so they were going to continue to look. And when I got back, they had called for an evac 3 hours early off the mountain. And when I realized that, I told them, you guys aren't even going to make it off the mountain in 3 hours. It's not going to, because the time, it was 3 hours from where we were, instead of the pickup time being later in the evening. And I thought, there's no way you're even going to make it down off this mountain. Then why did you do that? Because now you're going to have a guy with 3 vehicles. We had no reception on the way down, and they're going to be driving this 2-track mountain road that is patrolled by rangers and stuff. And we really didn't want anyone to know what we were trying to do. We just don't want to advertise it. Not that we're trying to be sneaky, but bigfooting is. I mean, it can be. So, So yeah, it was ridiculous. And then the whole point was to basically go through this experience to not document anything, to log the information, whatever, to claim that it would have been a failure, and to kind of prevent me in a way from getting to where we're supposed to be getting to. And so all I could really do after the fact was, whatever, I'm just going to do the right thing. I'm not going to be petty. And so, they demanded that money that we didn't spend on the van. they demanded I send them that money, and that they were going to send it back to the GoFundMe people. And then everyone that I knew from GoFundMe said, we don't want a dime back. Well, if you do this again, we'll try to sponsor you again. And so I had no problem with it. I didn't come out to make profit or anything. It's like, you guys want to be petty, you want the cash, cool. So I just took out of it what I had to pay that family for doing what they did and sent them the rest of the money. And I guarantee you, they never sent a dime to anybody from GoFundMe. They just took the money. So, you know, I mean, it tells you. Up here at the location, I'm actually recording this with one of our little clip cams. Show it to you in the reflection there. Got the bikes, packs, and we're about to go in on a tree cut you can see across the road. It goes all the way down, follows the power lines, and then we're about 3 or 4 miles through the forest once we get through there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. This is just a test. Alright, heading in. Gonna go catch a rod somewhere. A little slippy. You see his tracks, so he's got to be up here someplace. Right here we're about 9,700 feet. So you can see here we're on a cut. It's actually really ancient, and they've been reusing it and cutting it for years. Of course, they probably haven't done any work in here in 30 years. But on both sides of us is dense forest. This cut allows us to get in a lot further than we would be able to normally. It's about 3 miles on this to where we've got to go in. Not now. Now we've already come in a little over a mile probably. So, but down in there, this forest, pretty average pine forest in here, 75 to 100 foot trees. But once you get down another 1,000 feet, then we get into the deep, dark Sherwood forest stuff. You expect to see the trolls and the monsters come out. Even on the brightest summer afternoons, it's dark and dreary, and not a lot of green foliage even grows in there because not a lot of sunlight makes it to the floor. But all right, onward through the fog. And this snow on these hills gets about 1 foot deep. Normally this is all boulders, so now we're just cruising it, just like you would skis or anything else on mountain bikes. I think it's a little whippy, but you see we're dropping in about 4 inches out of the foot. So okay, and there's nobody cutting wood up here, so I mean you can see the trees that are here that would have been removed. So already throughout here we've seen some really crazy anomalies as far as trees down blocking our path, or like these where they're all down parallel. You can see here like the ones back there, and then another one. Here's another one looks like a big natural fence. These are like, hey, stay out of our forest, use the clearing, but stay out of our woods. And you can see down in here just how dark and dense this upper forest is, and this is the bright forest. So
hey, this is like fun. Check this hill out.
Let's do this.
Oh baby. Oh baby. Oh my gosh, that was a good 3 feet deep in there. I mentioned a minute ago in a video clip that there was a spot where the Bigfoots had obviously marked the start of the territory. They didn't want anybody going in. We see the blood trail comes right out under their territorial marker here. This is all fresh add-in. Massive trees uprooted. And this is the size stuff that's common around the lodge. I mean, if you look, see these big long strings of logs here? This is a barrier wall. This is a fence. They're telling you all these came across like a fence here. Look, they come across, they come across, they come across, they come across, come across, come across. And you have the big ones. And they're across again. They're telling you don't go past this point. We know the lodge is down here about 800 feet below us. Was the scariest stuff we have ever seen built down there. It's just massive stuff, and it's built out of trees like those that have been uprooted. And if you look like that one, there's no hole at the root ball where that tree come up. And we have carrions down there where there's hundreds of examples of carrions like that, even where the root ball has been set directly in the middle of the trail, 15 feet high with the roots on it, on trees bigger than those. And that tree's a good 30 inches or more thick over there. And what you want to see these territorial markers here. This old bleached wood that's stacked up here, about 22 foot high. Old bleached wood, doesn't go here. There's no stumps here. And you can see they're just all matching twisted bark pole, all kind of laid together. You can see how they're fashioned up here. And I'll take you over and show you kind of what I mean. This is a fresh tree out. And it didn't come out of the ground right there. So there's parts of it laying there. But these are like these up here. Big carrions. And they just pulverizing this stuff. Now the whole forest isn't like this. It's done in these big fence-like systems. But what we're really concerned with, though, is this blood trail that goes through here. And I think we should go ahead and move on. I think it's pretty scary because whoever's bleeding out, you can see just mass amounts of it. And whoever's bleeding out is doing it at a rate. It's just unbelievable, and it's not deer, so it's really scary. You got 2 people with a walking stick. Deer have all walked this trail, but it's obviously the person using the stick, and the many drips of yellow fluid here that's not blood with the blood is really sketchy. You can see the difference. So we're kind of thinking they just may have a tremendous head wound, which would not be out of character for the Bigfoots reported here have killed people and hit people in the head with rocks before, putting one woman in intensive care. You can see here. See, that's bleeding on top of the footprint there. And how much when the person slows down, you get a little uphill grade. The person slows down a bit and instantly have tons dripping. Make sure you stay in sight, Rod. What do you got? Oh my goodness. See, and this is the broad, flat kind of digs. Could be melt out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this vid too now. And we'll continue on down this trail. You can see pretty sketchy when rangers have told you 30 people a year vanished here. We know the Bigfoots here are aggressive. You see trails of a couple of greenhorns cruising through. And yeah, that's not good. Okay, all right, we're gonna cut this now. We've got a bunch of cameras rolling. So.
And then when we got back, I smoke weed every once in a while. And when we got back, they were going to do a whole special on drug use in the field. And I thought, well, and he had talked to me about that too. And I thought, well, you're right. You know, and what he was talking about was crank and coke and all this stuff, or hallucinogenics and things that are mind altering, to not something that's, you know, that surgeons, literally brain surgeons, do before they go operate on you. These are things that are mind altering narcotics. And you know, I'm like, yeah,
on that too. We're not nobody on my team gets to drink while we're out there.
Nope. Yeah, drink, exactly, same thing. And so anyway, so I told him that's ridiculous. You know, I'm all for that. That's ridiculous. I'm the same way, exactly. Trust me. And regardless, anyway, they were going to do a video about me and marijuana use or whatever. And I told him, I said, God, if you guys are that, you know, fresh off your mama's tit, because I mean, literally, aircraft pilots, brain surgeons, astronauts, Olympic swimmer, Elon Musk. I mean, where do you want to go with this? Who smokes? This isn't booze. It's not narcotics. It's not whatever. But you guys are going to try to build it into some kind of case.
Yeah.
And before they ever got to produce this video, they announced they were going to do it. And people told me this is 100% to try to defame you. But other people wrote them and said, well, I hope you're not talking about doing it on marijuana or weed. Because, you know, a good 30%, 40% or more of the people who are into the subject matter smoke, either once, occasionally, or often. And they were already telling him, I hope you're not even going to go there. And so they canceled it. They didn't do it. But they did do their video saying, you know, we're going to. And all that was just to try to steal the site, discredit my. And then, like you said, in the end, they produced videos, and all their videos were, it was a no-go. Nothing happened. Yeah. The whole thing was a blow. And then
that's what I got from watching it, though, because all their stuff came out first. You let them put all their stuff out, and I watched all of it, and it was all just a big gripe session. Oh my God, we got a hike so far, and I'm so sore, and I'm tired, and we're not seeing anything, and blah blah blah. And then you come out with the video showing the exact same expedition, all the same places they showed, except mysteriously on your video, there's Bigfoot structures and tracks all over the damn place.
And matter of fact, it was exactly like Ron Casper said, it was exactly like I described what they were going to get to see. Some of the largest Bigfoot manipulations anywhere ever photographed were in there. They got to see that stuff, along with four or five different sets of prints, handprints, all this other. We had activity every single night. I had eye shine photographed 30 feet from my tent while I was awake. You know, the whole thing. I watched the flash of eye shine on the camera on my phone. You know, I'm using remote little cams we sell. And it's just out there in the dark. And I've got two little phone screens sitting in my bivvy, laying in there. And there's a flash of eye shine on one. And sure enough, you know, he's like 30 feet from my bivvy. And then we get tracks the next morning, 30 feet from the bivvy, all around us. And the weird thing was, you know, they were asleep during that time. And I stayed up till probably 4 a.m. That's, you know, that's what I do for one. And then they wanted to get up at like 7 and roll out of there even before I could eat anything. And I'm like, what in the world, dudes? And I think the guys didn't have coffee, and I had coffee. I didn't have enough coffee for them to have coffee. It's just everyone was supposed to pack their own stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so I had basically one of those little travel packages per day. So but still, there's my deal. But yeah, so it was ridiculous because I'm thinking I stayed up all night. We had action. You know, I've got it recorded. I've got eye shine recorded. I'm listening to them walk around. I'm out videoing and doing all this other stuff while you guys are snoozing. And then you want to hop up 7 a.m. and walk out of here. And it's like, and you know, I pulled night duty all night. We were supposed to do shifts. That was the big thing. Oh, it's so dangerous. They're always going to have a guy awake, and we're going to do shifts. And whatever. So they were horizontal immediately, got in there. And they stayed horizontal. So, well, kind of horizontal, because a couple of them were on, I don't know if they ever camped before, but you don't set a tent on a hill like this. Yeah. But regardless, what they came out of there with was a story about being abducted out of the tent. No, abducted through the wall of the tent. Now, I know this didn't happen because I was awake. So, but one of the members had a dream that a Bigfoot grabbed him by the foot. Now, I have no doubt about that whatsoever. And we did have Bigfoots around camp with us. And they can certainly inspire, whether you're awake or asleep, some pretty weird mental things, which I had no doubt of what he's saying. Man, I respect it. That's a creepy thing to have happen, in a dream or otherwise. But it didn't take you out of your tent. And so the story turned into, after they got back and produced the video, that he was pulled through the wall of his tent through a portal and whatever, and then returned. And that didn't happen. I was there and I was awake. It didn't happen. We had 2 subjects cruising around us, and they were juvenile to adolescent age, a 12-inch foot and a 16-inch foot. It's a big boy, but it's still a boy. It's a big young man. So they're just the cantankerous youngsters. And what's interesting is 15 minutes after we got in, so I picked a place to stop because there was a big blind. It was obviously manufactured. Nobody noticed it. This is horrendously built, busted up shit. Nobody knows. So right behind us was an X made out of trees that were over 90 feet tall. They weighed they were a couple of 1,000 pounds apiece, stacked into a massive X. And then there was 2 blinds, kind of a gateway built, and they had the forest cleared where game could come through. And this forest at this point is so rammed with carried in trees. Most of them are carried in. And these are big, 30 inches thick, 100 feet long. They probably weigh 12 to 16, 18,000 pounds apiece. Mm-hmm. And they've carried these things in and stacked them all over the place. So even the deer have a hard time getting anywhere. But there's corridors, and there was a corridor about 30 feet wide right next to where we set in. So what I did was we actually set our tents in like a trap off the corridor. You flush the deer into this area. They can't really go anywhere you got them. Yeah. And it's right in front of this X anyway. And within about maybe 20 minutes of us actually setting up, so we were in there maybe 30 minutes to set up, and then you calm down and everybody's kind of there. And about 20 minutes of that, then we could hear talking, and high-speed monkey rushing coming from maybe 300-400 feet. It's hard to tell with the Bigfoot because their voice carriers are so damn big. But maybe it sounded, if it was a man, maybe 300-400 feet away through the forest. And in there's no way you're going to see that far. You couldn't see 100 feet. It's too dense. And so anyway, I told those guys, for one, I said, don't be running off, because for one, we call us the kill zone for a reason. I didn't feel we were in a dangerous spot at that point, but we were right on the edge of it. It's something you still don't want to walk off alone. 30 people a year have gone missing off that trail. Ron Kastner, who's still active USFS manager, forest manager, and officer right now, he checked their own records. About 37 people vanished up there in 3 years that they have on their record, and that's in the national database. And so it's not somewhere you really want to just venture off by yourself. And I let them know that, and they kind of did that. And when they went off anyway and did it anyhow, and not that I'm king, but like they said, we're going to respect your wishes up there. We're going to do what you say, the area. And they played this game for months in advance. When we actually got up there, and it was like, no, we're going to walk over here. And like I tell everybody, just let them come in. You're not going to get a look at them if you do that. You're half the time they get pissed and just leave. Yeah. So you go poking around for them. So anyway, they do it. And sure enough, did we get any more action out of them? Not until about 1 a.m. Yeah. And then they came, when those guys were asleep, then they came up. So it was kind of to me, it was an awesome trip. It was horrible in a way that I really wanted to get to the lodge. Thank God that I didn't get there with those guys, because I wanted to go redocument what we had seen before, which was just plumb nuts. And but at the same time, was able to verify and show examples of what I said that they do up there that they don't really do anywhere else that I'm aware of. That it would take multiple big males in cooperation to do what they're doing. Yeah. Not, it's impressive to stab a tree upside down on the ground with 10 to 20 foot of it sticking out, but to carry an 18,000 pound tree with all the rocks and everything still in the root ball, and be able to carry that through a forest that a deer has a hard time getting through.
Now, yeah, so similar stuff up here. I get to document some of the biggest structures on Earth, and one of them's in the Nebraska Bigfoot Museum that we filmed, the Super X that we found up here. Same thing. It's about 70 feet tall from the ground to the top, made out of lodgepole pines. And the center piece that's got the pork on the top of it, that's still there, but the rest of it came down, and it's all neatly piled right next to it. Like they disassembled it for some reason. Maybe it's only for like when there's a big hullabaloo going on and they want a special party marker or something. But that thing was there for 1 year, and then they took it apart.
Coincidence happens naturally.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Oh, we couldn't even believe it when we saw it. We're just like, if you go back and look at the video, we tried our best, but you can't actually see the whole structure because you can't stand far enough back to get the whole thing without trees obscuring you in front.
Oh, yeah.
It's too damn big.
Yeah, it's hard to get the gravity of any of that stuff. That's like going through what we were going through. You feel so small you can't see anywhere in some of it.
Yeah.
So on the video, you know, there's logs at your height of view, and they're all tangled up everywhere. So, you know, you see gaps as you walk through all that stuff, but you know, you're fodder in that kind of crap. You're like, you can't go anywhere.
Oh yeah, you can get bushwhacked so easy it's ridiculous, especially with their speed and their sneakiness. And they like that. A lot of those places where we find those giant structures, there's tons of that carry-in, drug-in stuff all over the place. They've made all kinds of little obstructions and, you know, mini structures, just big piles of debris and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you look at it and you go, I'm not walking through that. What the hell for? But then if you do walk through it, you find out, yeah, they got a giant structure back here. You know? Yeah. That's what they're trying to hide.
Well, yeah, they're doing this region of the forest. They've taken it over, and they constantly are battling with the Forest Service guys. So where we were at, those trails, they're taking them off the maps. They're taking them away. You can only get them on the old maps. They're trying to erase this trail. The USFS is. They don't want anyone in there because people get carried off all the time. Yeah. And the Bigfoots don't want anyone else in. They try to make it plain, and then you know they lay. The
movement behind me. I don't know if it's one of our guys.
Is that you?
Who is that breaking stick? Hey, Wade.
Yeah.
You must have one coming in on us. Those are pretty big pop.
All right, this is good morning from Lodge Killzone, Expedition 22. 2022 just barely woke up. Just give you guys a good morning look around. Okay, this is a morning charge up, coffee time, get some food.
You got those already?
Yeah, he filmed it.
Okay, so this is a print Boyd pulled this morning right below camp. You can see this is the blind structure that we were tucked in behind. And they'd come up to us. Soft step down this slope, and we got a 16-inch print here. So they look really good. You actually got a whole little series of them. Looks like you must have gone up and down on the same
This
spot.
looks like a left foot with a heel and a really wide, little bit of a break in the middle.
I'd say right, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right. I meant right.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
sorry,
the
yeah.
back of the fifth. This
Right,
is,
and he's clearing this tree.
yeah, because you see the little divot here? There's a little raise and a divot. That's the back of your fifth metatarsal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then you've got the cup shape. Apparent, it looks like an arch, but of course that's just the foot flexibility. Okay, so here we have our second subject, and you can even see the imprints over here from the first subject here, down there. So those are the 5-inch wide, 16-inch long. And here we've got the juvenile. Well, they're both basically juveniles, but we've got the other juvenile was with him with a 1 foot long foot. And here you can actually see lots of structure. You got the back of the heel, the raise from the front of the heel, tendon going across. You have the back of the first metatarsal, and then you have a toe, edge of a toe, and then he carried the big toe off and planted his weight on the fifth metatarsal and kicked a little bit sideways as he went downhill and stepped right over there. I'll give you a sight here how they approached. So initial approach was from downhill here, and they're milling around back and forth, and they went uphill on the left-hand side of that tree, went uphill on the left-hand side of that tree. There's our blind in the background back there, and that's what we're parked behind. And then they came back down this side of the tree and then went on that side of that one and went across, and both of them were mulling, kind of hanging out over there where they've got quite a bit of cover between us and them.
Here's the right, and he steps on the left, but here's a good right. It's a little blown out.
Yeah, and so there's your smaller subject, the 1 foot long foot.
Yep.
And he came right up through this mess.
That's the right, and his left is right there, but one of the guys accidentally stepped on it.
And this is the corridor they came up. I don't know how far they came up. I'm gonna take a look.
We definitely weren't here last night.
No, I looked around before we ever set in.
We were down there too, finding another hill. There's nothing. Bet you might find that stick he stepped on though.
So here we've got, there's another step right there. Sorry, my camera. There's another soft padded. So he came up within 30 or 40 feet of us, probably.
That's out of the ground.
Yeah, that's been kicked out, yeah. Because I don't know if we walked down here or not. Trying to see just how close he came. mean, that's not a print. It looks flat, but now if he walked around this corner,
The log right there, right to your right. Right
there
here.
you go. Yeah, that's a four.
That's him. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the front of a. Looks like the front of a foot.
Over.
So we're looking at this here. Well, that means there's him again. That means he got within view of my cam.
Look at that. He really displaced that.
So, well, he got within view of my cam, but he's going to be in the dark back here. I probably didn't get him unless he looked at it. Okay. Also, I want you guys to notice, stacks of trees and logs like this are everywhere. And what they're actually doing with this is funneling game. So where they've just laid these repeatedly down here. Of course, then you can see the standard poles stand up against the sides. And but you'll see where the cam is. So that if he looked at the cam, we got his eye shine. But I doubt he looked at it. But here's the cam been placed next to my pillow and my bag now. But all right, well, that's real good. Lots of verification of what was on us last night. So this is morning number 1 after Camp A. Let the guys catch up a little bit here and get this camera fired up so you can look around you right now and see the amount of timber laying in here. And you take note that they're cut ends, and those aren't because loggers, those are because those are dropped across the trail, and they have to keep cutting and moving these because over and over and over and over and over they're dropped across the trail like this. Some of these will be push downs, other one like this. I mean, there's obviously it didn't come here, it's all carry-ins. So this is a barrier wall right here. And Forest Service, this is a wilderness area. There's no cutting of trees, hunting, anything else. This is only done to maintain the trails for human access. All the rest of these logs are carried in by subjects. And if you look at what I'm looking at, nothing is little here. Look in comparison to my men, nothing is little. And this is that's a good close to 20, probably 19-inch diameter. And so a tree like that will weigh thousands of pounds. And they carry them through this dense forest and timber where we can barely walk on a trail, 60-pound packs. They're carrying thousands of pounds per tree, thousands of trees. And this still isn't the Killzone. Killzone makes this look like a golf course. So collectively, what would it take to do this? That's what we're really going for, is to make an example of what the true potential of these things are when it's more than just a solitary subject or one family group. But when they get together as tribes, gathering clans and things like that to do things for their best interest, this is the kind of stuff they do. And you can see these are fresh, green boughs. We'll see this quite a bit. They're dropping trees on a daily basis in here. We just stayed the night behind a constructed blind that was just a few days old. And we had activity all night around us, and vocals, tree knocks, footsteps, breaking stuff. So everything happening within a couple 100 feet of our placement. And then we tracked 2 of them, one at 12-inch foot and the other at 16, and they moved right up on us, right toward one of my little night cams. Hopefully we got something. And but right up within 30 feet of my tent. So, and I ran cams all night. We'll just see if anything comes up. But we had activity all night. Never ceased.
First, in your opinion, was the Bigfoot there first, or did they decide that was a great area and then the trail became dangerous?
No, most of these areas didn't have Bigfoot that do now, because it was completely inhabited with people. North America didn't have a spot that wasn't inhabited, and they only lived where they could live, which was way far. That's why I say the population is probably higher now than it has been in the last at least 3,000 or 4,000 years. Because everything's empty now. The North America's never been as empty as it is. You know, you think that there's, oh, that's a lot of population. There's more people here. Baloney. You know, there was 110 million natives here at least when Spain first rolled in. And so
Conservatively, they've got one
Yeah,
city
yeah.
down there in the jungles in Central America. They just LiDAR scanned it and found out it was there. And now that they're looking at the layout, they're going, there's 3 to 5 million people living in this damn
yeah,
city.
exactly. So, and North America was the same way, and all the way across. And we've got 330 million people now. They probably had about that then, but the thing is, they weren't in the city population centers, not even close to what we are now. They were absolutely everywhere. There's not almost no canyon or anywhere that has structure, water, and resources anywhere that you can't find sign of human habitation. I mean, almost everywhere. So people were everywhere. So how do you be a Bigfoot and hark out a hidden place for you to relax and have a family? Well, you can't. Now you can. Now you can go anywhere. It's just all empty. It's abandoned. You can fly over it at 300 miles an hour for an hour and not cross the road. I mean, so and when you go
And that
out,
holds true up north of here too, especially like in Alaska and Canada. There were a lot more people out in the bush during the fur trading years and stuff than there are now.
Yeah.
There was a lot more people spread across the land then because they were looking for these resources that now they're not interested in, so nobody's out there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, every single creek, every single canyon, everything had a village, a one-room dwelling, had whatever somewhere. But so, you know, with the way they are now, they're around people now more probably than they were as well, because people now are dumb. People don't have a clue what's around them. I mean, even the ones that are really got their head on a swivel don't have a clue what's around them. And it's no fault of their own. You have to grow up in that. You have to literally grow up from a child up in woods and in places, and, you know, and not just with your friends swinging off a tire swing. I mean, sitting out there alone for hours at a time and things like that over and over and over, to where you know what this type of bird sounds like and what they do versus that type of bird sounds like and what they do. Once you get into it that much, you're gonna know what's out there. But if you're not that in tune with it, you know, you're not. They could be 10 feet from you. You're not going to have a clue unless you get the heebie-jeebies because it's staring at you. You're just not going to know, you know. So they're around people now, probably like they never have been. And I think that's just to take advantage of the resources, and it's actually safer in most cases. It's like private land isn't usually hunted land. Farms, orchards, and things like that, man, we have backwaters and tailwater off that nobody goes into. Farmers don't go into their tailwater ponds. No. You know, they'll have it 25 years and never go into the tailwater pond. So if you have all these reeds and tailwater ponds and you have foliage and trees and the farmer's farming, and hey, what a wonderful world. Why would I even do anything? I got everything I need right here. If I don't make a scene, he's never going to know I'm here. And it's like, you'd rather be there because there's no hunting. You know, they know when an area is hunted. They're like a lot of animals are. Deer the same way. Seasonally, they'll leave the hunting zones. They figure it out where it is, and where you're not shooting, that's where they go. So it's similar. So now I think that there's more Bigfoot out there than there has been in thousands of years, and I think that they're right up among, when they don't even really have to be, a lot of our rural farms and rural habitation and all that. So,
well, observation too. I mean, you'd be surprised what animals can learn. We got a deer that's in town here, is a really huge buck, and we only see him down on this one street corner at night, about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. He comes walking along, and the guy that works at the gas station has observed this buck. It's completely deserted. You got double lanes both directions, right? Stop, four-way stop there, stoplights. He walks up and stands there and waits for the light to turn green, and then walks across. And he's seen him do it multiple times. This deer grew up in town. This is a damn deer. Deer aren't smart, and he can figure that out. So let me extrapolate a little further. I got an example where I was up on Blue Mountain over here behind me, and I was following a big trail. It was in the early spring. There was still a little bit of snow, and he had left some nice tracks, and I was following his trackway. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm catching up to him now. No, he went across the road, stepped over a 4-strand barbed wire fence, marked no trespassing, and went into that property. bastard. And, you know, simple observation. Well, if I'm over here, there's all kinds of people walking around. But if I go on the other side of this fence, there's never anybody there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand why necessarily, but they see the cause and effect.
Who knows what they understand, you know? It's we're always surprised by what animals pull off. It's like when ducks feed fish or, you know, whatever.
They're a lot smarter than we think they are. And that's
yeah.
one of the problems with most of the Bigfoot researchers out there. They think they're looking for some big dumb monkey when in fact they are the big dumb monkey. And what they're looking for is way slyer and smarter than they are in the woods.
Well, what's funny is even if it was a big monkey, it's still probably smarter than half people looking for it. So, and I don't mean that like being mean, but it's true. I mean, it just is. So.
Well, speaking of big dumb monkeys, let's get back to the story from earlier this spring. I was very disappointed, but not completely surprised to see their videos. And then I really enjoyed when you actually did your video where you showed, and they're walking right past like tracks, big structures and stuff, not paying any attention. You're filming them. So, you know, what's their explanation for doing that is really the bottom line.
Well, they didn't have one. Enough people noticed it. I mean, quite a few people actually reached out to me and said, you know that I let them do that. I didn't put anything out for quite a while. And then what do? I produce 4-hour-long videos. And they said they didn't have enough material to make a video, that there was nothing of consequence occurred. And I put out 4-hour-long videos, and they're full of stuff. They have stuff all over all of them. I mean, even coming out on the trail out, I pick up a bone that's been bit off by a hominid. And on the trail, a deer, not another bone anywhere. It's fresh. It still feels cold because it's holding moisture. It's fresh, you know, and you can see where the ends have been bitten off by a hominin of some type or another, not anything else. This stuff was all over up there, and where we took them, yeah, it was mind blowing. But I did have some people reach out to me and say, yeah, man, I noticed they didn't have anything. They said there was nothing to film, and then here you are, put these videos out, and there's all this crap. What the hell's wrong with them? You know, and it's because you don't. It's like, well, guy, you don't understand. There wasn't anything wrong with them. It's called acting butthurt. Now, why they chose to do it? Hey, whatever, man. But yeah, I mean, I got stories back that. I left them on the mountain to die, and they could have got eaten by a mountain lion, and I went out with one of their guys, and their other guys who were lagging pretty bad. One of my team guys that I work with all the time, Boyd or whatever, he stayed with them and came out with them. He was the last one down. Nobody ever left anybody anywhere, and they were loud. I could hear them talking the whole time. There was never a time I didn't know where they were because I could hear them. That's another thing. I don't know how you expect to walk wearing 60 pounds at 10,000 feet. It's hard enough to get air as it is. You don't talk as you're going down the trail. You can't breathe and talk at the same time. You need to be pulling in air. And so it's no wonder that, you know, we couldn't fit the minimum of 2 miles an hour and that's slow for me. I mean, we do 4 with a pack on. So
yeah. We don't walk big distances or anything because we don't really need to from where we camp at. But one of our rules when we're out there walking around is, you know, until you stop and you're having a confab, everybody shuts the hell up. Yeah. Because all you're doing is letting everything around you know you're there. Right. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. And then even it'd be like we'd be going on the trail and they were talking, and then you'd have a little rock come in from nowhere. And it was like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. It's like, man, shut up. Listen, what's going on? But mainly my main deal was it hurt the overall progress as a team. People doing that was very selfish because not only did they limit their own speed, they limited their ability, they increased their own duress on their body. They increased the physical, I would say decreased physical performance because they put more necessity or whatever on the body. They added more the body needed to do. And this was, in a way, it's kind of like there's no reason to do that. We're up here to do a job. We're supposed to have 2 miles an hour, which means we need to form a clip and move at least 2 miles an hour, which is easy. 2 miles an hour is nothing. And so, we couldn't do that. We were lucky to get to 1.5 miles an hour. Well, what that means is if you have a certain distance you have to get to camp night A, let's say. Well, the distance means time. When you're packing a pack, if you go 1 mile an hour, in an hour, you're only going to go 1 mile. So if camp is 4 miles and you have 2 hours, you're not going to make it to camp. You're going to make it halfway to camp, which means you have to choose a brand new place to camp, which then means the next day when you get up, you're already 2 miles behind where you should be. Now you can't make the pace that you're supposed to make anyway. So how in the world are you not only going to make that pace the next day, but double that pace? You're not. So immediately even before we camped the first night, within the first quarter mile, I'm already going, these guys are already actually complaining, like walking, going, okay, what are we doing now? And it's like, I'm waiting on your other guy. Your other guy is still back there. Do you want to walk off and leave him? Why are you coming up here with a weird attitude going, all right, what are we doing now? You know, I'm waiting for you guys. I could have left.
That's kind of a rookie question, Robert.
It was actually just a confrontational question.
Yeah.
And so it was in a demeaning fashion. It was because they're feeling their own inadequacy. But really, it's not a pride or ego thing. It's like, breathe, man. Shut up and breathe when you walk, because your muscles need oxygen. Everything needs oxygen. And you're talking, you're not breathing, and then you're putting this huge physical demand. And you came up here from 700-foot elevation, one guy. The other guy's from Florida. That's 30-foot elevation. And we're now at 10,000 and up and down plus. Yep. So it's just, and we had 3 months to train. We went through this huge thing. But to them, I think it was all just a glorified story. And then when it came to it, I don't think they thought I was being serious. I wasn't joking. We weren't camping near the car. I'm not kidding. This is not going to be an easy walk. When a trail's rated by the U.S. Forest Service as difficult, then it's not an intermediate or an easy, or it's a difficult trail. That means it's nothing but rocks and roots. Yeah. And you're going to carry 60 pounds through rocks and roots. You better have your head about you so you can plan all your steps. I turned an ankle. You can ask Ron, like maybe a half mile in, I turned an ankle. But again, you can't stop because we're on an expedite and we're not going to quit and evac me out of here. So you walk that bad boy off, right? Yeah. And that's what you got to do. But yeah, the whole thing was just kind of blown. I mean, in that way. I mean, it was actually great. People love the videos because the stuff is tremendous, a lot of action, everything's great. And even in the last video, the funny thing is I didn't tell the story, right? I didn't tell it to anybody. And I didn't bitch about those guys. And I told them at the end, look, man, nobody has to try to save face because I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. Now I'm just telling you the truth because, boy, they tossed me under every bus they could find, bro, and then drove it back and forth over me and everything else. But so I told them that, but it spoke for itself. The videos I produced, I just show the video.
That's it.
And
they
you
can
sit
see
there
and run their mouths all they want about how they didn't see anything and nothing happened. And, the mean guy down there in Arizona made me walk up and down a mountain at high altitude. And he only warned us 3 months in advance, and we thought he was kidding.
Well, and the worst part,
go run crying home to mama.
That's it. And the worst part about the whole thing is, why didn't you find the lodge? Why didn't you get to the lodge and all this stuff? You can see why we didn't. They stopped forward progress, argued where the lodge would be, where they've never been there before. They've never even been in the state. And these are not little hills. These are mountains, man. These are big.
Actual mountains, not actual piddly things they call mountains on the East Coast.
There's single cliffs. There's single cliffs in there that are 3,000 feet tall and more. So the escarpment on the other side is 6,000 foot tall. And it does that in a half a mile or a mile. It goes 6,000 foot. So, and so it's not playground, but you'll see they stopped me from actually progressing on, argue about it. And what they were really doing was they did not want me to get in. And I think that they were intimidated and they had already called for the ride out. So, but basically it's just the video speaks for itself. I didn't have to tell the story. You can watch it. And everyone's, people write me and tell me and they comment, oh God, if that had happened to me, I'd have been so pissed off. I'd have done this, I'd have done that, but whatever, it is what it is. So.
Actually, if I was with you, I wouldn't have cared if you ever got to the lodge. All the stuff you were filming along the way, I would have been worse than you. I would have been like, well, wait, there's probably something back here 30 feet. Let me go check it out.
Well, I had other guys generally that were disappointed, and I don't blame them because they've seen lots of Bigfoot sign, and yeah, what we were looking at is impressive, and it might be one of a kind, but they wanted to get to the lodge because they're seasoned and they've been there and done that. But there was no animosity, there's no contempt, and none of this crap that I received from the, these people over here. It was like not that at all. They matter of fact, they knew, and they were there. They knew what was happening and how it was progressing. Yeah, I mean, I had one guy on video, and he's all digging around through his tent, all maniac, and I got him a bivvy. He says, I use a bivvy, man. They're tiny. Yeah, they're claustrophobic, a little bit, whatever. They're tight. But that's all I need to do is lay down in this thing. I'm not there to camp, and it's, you know what I mean? That's what we're there for. I put out.
Well, that's what I got too. A tiny little A-frame camo, one-man tent. You could park it underneath a pine tree. Nobody knows it's there.
Yeah.
And usually I like it.
Yeah, my bivvy's not even knee high.
Yeah.
And I like that because you can't see him. It's no higher than a log. Well, he didn't like that when he saw it. I guess he thought it would be bigger or whatever. But you get these attitudes. Now, we don't get these in the field. I evict people when they get like this. But, just kind of pissy and throwing stuff around and this deal. And at first, it's like, well, I can't set this thing up. It's like, man, calm down, dude. No big deal. Just sit down, take your time, put your little deal up. Here, I'll give you a hand, And then later, come out, I don't know, it's on video. I come out like 1 in the morning or something. And I was doing that. I was getting up and coming out by myself, just kind of scoping things, It's like 24 degrees. And, and he's outside of his little bivvy. He's tossing shit all over. And I said, what are you doing? And I'm looking for my claustrophobia medicine. And I'm thinking, man, you are in the wrong place, bro. Just straight up right now. If you got to be medicated for anything, that's a personality trip or a phobia, you should not be up here where we're at right now. I mean, this isn't like a partyville. If we have a problem right now, no one's going to come get us, bro. You can't even get a message out of here. This is it. What are you doing? And you might have to go crawl under a log where spiders are your best friend and you can barely breathe for the next 6 hours if they start screaming at us and throwing shit. It's like, I couldn't get why they put themselves in that position. I really couldn't. I made them completely aware of what it was going to be like. So,
well, you warned them fairly. So fairly warned were they, says I.
I.
And it's quite obvious what their actual ambition was in going there, judging by the video. Because if I was there, I would have had like 8 hours of video. Because I would have been like double backup filming everything you were getting.
Well, how about this? They actually do. They did. They filmed all kinds of stuff, and they ran recorders all night, and I guarantee you they got vocals. So because I got stuff, I got trees busting, distant hollers. There's crap in the video. I show you, I don't know how many sets of eye shine that actually show you, and some of them I'm filming live with my camera. There's eye shine. Oh, there's a Bigfoot right there. They did film all that stuff. They didn't show anybody because it was supposed to be a failure. It was supposed to be, this guy doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He's just some druggie out there, blah, blah, blah. I ain't a druggie at all. But that was the story they were about to perpetuate. So in order to perpetuate that, they had to have a nothing, almost die in the process. This guy's an idiot, and the site doesn't exist. And so that's what the story, but how are you going to perpetuate that when the site does exist? And we obviously know what we're doing. I can get it in and out of there without a problem, and come out with all the goods. Here's all your goods. Mm-hmm. It's like, so yeah, but that's why I waited. The truth comes out.
So yeah, in case you're wondering what he's referencing, and not everybody saw this yet, maybe it's possible. I think y'all saw it, but in case you didn't see it, I will put links down in the doodly doop thing and the thingamajig below the video screen where there's little words written. You can go find it there.
Yeah, it's called Killzone Lodge Expedition.
There you go.
Something just got tossed back here.
You what?
Something got tossed.
Something got tossed at those guys up trail. Yeah, probably. Well, don't toss it back. We're here to be nice.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Just ask yourself, what would Shackleton do?
There you go. Well, we're in the zone. We got to be careful.
That's why I was saying this. We're going to where they are now.
Yeah.
Well, everything else is letting them come to where you are, and seldom do people
When
go
they
where
want,
they are.
but now we're pushing them.
Yeah, I don't mean to push them.
No.
I just want to be nice and get along. I love you guys, man. You guys are freaking awesome. What do we got?
Then he had a vocal. And I said, what would Shackleton do? And he said,
Keep going.
Lodge.
Keep going.
Keep going. We're not here for a vocal.
Nope. They're nice.
We got the R2D2 dish. Direct TV, 2 AC.
So this is my camp at Camp B, second base. And we're in now. This is the other guys are over there. And all by myself over here. We got Boyd's Taj Mahal, Bonaventure Motel there. Then we're all cammed up for the evening. Got the KX Stealth Eye Cam. Watching my back door on this side, and this will be at Main Trail. And we've already had haulers from up there. We've had the lodges just through here, 0.5 mile, crow flies. We did not make it into that today. We actually passed the area where I thought it was based on the topo maps. And now we've got to scout another trail first thing in the morning so we can get out of here. Got to be all the way at our ride by 5. You see I got the next cam right here facing the back side of me. Then we got this blind here, so I expect him to be able to come up right into this region, 20 feet from the tent. They'll either come in here, they'll creep up that backside for that cam, or they're going to come down this trail. And I don't have this avenue open because I have a feeling if they do come to here, they'll come down that trail to get there. So then I've got a couple of little barrier logs set up here. You can see. So this is how they do. They say, please don't come through. So I'm going to ask them not to come through on me in the tent. And other than that, we're all ready for nighttime. We've got all the surveillance gear out. I got running the photon thermal setup. There's the helmet there for entry. I filmed with that GoPro today and audio. That worked out really, really well. You can see the gear top tent, 100% satisfied with this. They did a great job. I'll just tell them that right now. And then this is my kitchen. You can see here, there's some hot coffee going there.
And if you want to see, if you really want to go do your research, you can go look at the other ones where they were in the same place at the same time and didn't find anything except dusty trail and griping.
Yeah, the griping is kind of interesting.
That was the funnest part. It was like 90% griping and then a few videos of them going down a trail or setting up her tent or taking it down, and then more griping and walking. And
well, and don't deter anybody from wanting to watch it because who wants to see that? But most of the griping doesn't occur till the end, so until the last, and it's pretty small. It's actually kind of enjoyable, in a weird way. If you know where we're coming from, it is. If you were there and already knew kind of where this was going and what the potential was, then yeah, it's enjoyable. Because none of those guys knew that we already talked about the potential of that before we ever did it. So you and I had already. We knew who these people are, so ahead of time. So.
Kind of went, yeah, I kind of suspect they're going to be doing this, so keep an eye out for it. And Robert's all like, no, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're good guys. Yeah. I'm like, no. Watch what happens. Don't trust them.
That's it. No, and then other than that, I've been doing, I did another conference in Michigan. Since I've been on the show, that went really, really well. That was actually great. Josh Parsons and them are awesome people. They put on a great event. They just go above and beyond for you. Wonderful people. He was actually going to speak at this event that I'm helping to coordinate, and then some things came up, so we had to go with an alternate. But that was really good. And then lately, I've been doing some treasure hunting as well, and the hunting actually didn't take too long. it turned into excavating rather quickly, and found a really good target. I mean, really good. I haven't got to go back out on it yet. I want to really bad. I've talked to the landowner, and he's just busy and had some family stuff go on. They had a death in the family. Then a youngin he has been getting in trouble, whatnot, blah blah blah. But so I haven't been able to go back out and dig. But yeah, it's one of the best I've ever seen. And I've got 30 years experience on real treasure sites, over 200 different sites and areas, and real stuff being recovered, and stuff you don't see on TV. And this is still, I think, one of the best I've ever seen, all in all. Considering the landowner, he's a wonderful guy. I've known him for a long time. And then the situation of the cache itself. So at least this portion of the cache itself. And it's pretty considerable. So the map marks it to be 77 mule loads or horse or burro loads of gold. So
That's a
and
lot.
you're talking about 80 pounds per
mule load.
No, it's 160 pounds per the little horses they used were 160 pounds or 186 pounds a piece with the max, but they usually use two 80-pound straps, which a strap of gold is only about that big and about that thick, and that's 80 pounds. So it doesn't take but a little bit. Like, you're not going to ever pick up these Hollywood bars of gold. That's 300 pounds, 400 pounds of gold.
Yeah.
So, you know, they just have two of these little straps of gold basically on each side of the horse and a leather flap. And so you don't have big saddlebags full of gold or any of that. That doesn't exist. And so, but they would have, that's how it would be. So the cache itself wouldn't be very big. You can stick a lot of those bars in a very small place. And so, and I don't know if they're all where under this rock where they hit them, but we definitely broke the code and deciphered the maps. And I've got some videos. You guys have to check them out on the Kryder Exploration YouTube channel. It's under KX Kryder Exploration or YouTube at Kryder Exploration. But you have to check it out because, yeah, I show you actually the maps and how we break the map down and how the code works, and then go to the spot where the code says to go. And sure enough, there is what is described in the code. And then there's a massive target underneath this big, it looks like a sandstone outcrop. It should be attached to bedrock, but it's artificial. They moved the entire little outcrop into position over the top of a mason sealed vault, so to speak. So, and what we do is go under, excavate that out, and then look at the door plate or the cover plate and bang on that. It's all hollow, and you know the detector's screaming, going crazy. And so, and that's where I stopped. I haven't got to go any further than that.
And I recommend that you guys go watch that video. I saw that as much as he's done with it so far and as far as he's got with it, and it was really fun. So go watch it. Super cool video. Another good one over on Kryder Exploration channel. And again, I'll put the link in the doodly-doo thingamajig down below.
Yeah, and so that all brings us up into present time, I guess. A little bit happened in between them, but we don't have all night. And into this conference we're putting on now in Oklahoma. And it's called the Kiamichi Mountains Bigfoot Conference. And the way this thing started was Tanya Kordak, who runs the Bigfoot Museum of Oklahoma, contacted me, and she wanted me to go up there and speak. And I'm not really one, I don't like being all the center of everything and everything being focused around me quite so much anyway. But I just told her, why don't you just do the conference? She said, oh, I wouldn't know first thing about how to do it. And, you know, I've done a lot of racing events. I worked in the movie industry as a department head and coordinator. So I'm used to coordinating big operations, and we do that with all of our excavations and digs and a project manager and all that. So, so a conference, I didn't think it should be that big of a deal as long as she would handle her end up there. I got to say, hats off to her. She's done above and beyond, man, because I'm basically coordinating an event without being there, and which is really difficult. So she's on the ground doing the real work as far as I'm concerned. She says I'm doing the real work, whatever. And I'm basically handling all the decision and choreography and promotional materials and and things like that, and so and also helping, you know, get the talent. And so what I do is I put out word. Some of the greatest guys in the world, hats off to every one of them, because they all responded with grace in wanting to help the museum out. I mean, Tallahena is one of the poorest areas of Oklahoma, and it's also one of the hottest for Bigfoot. That's Honobia. They've got more going on there. It's unbelievable the type of interaction and presence they have in those regions. And so it's a great spot. It's a key location. The locals love this. And so anyway, so I talked to her and said, let's see if we can find a place to get one put together. We'll see who we can get. I reached out to a few of my buds who I know are competent Bigfoot researchers. They don't just, and I'm not putting anybody down by saying any of this. I think any way you do this is great. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted to share information based on research and repetitive results and things like that. And people who know how to document what they're finding and know how to put that together and present that to you. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. So I went with people who I knew were like that. And it's just wonderful. I get everybody on the panel is amazing. And what I do is encourage anyone to reach out. We'll get you a link to Duke here to the event website. And I can verbally put that out and say it. Let me see, where are we?
And I will put the link in the thingamajig doodly doo.
Yeah, so it's
below the screen.
Yeah, it's basically eventcreate.com/e/Kiamichi, just KIAMICHI/mountains/Bigfoot. So you put that in, and it'll take you to the event site, and you'll get to read the bios and things. And that's what I recommend, is going in there and go ahead and read the bios, because I mean, I know these guys, right? Most of them. A couple I have not worked with or not really spoken to in the past. But anyway, I know them, and I was surprised to even read the bios of the guys that I know, well, and it's impressive. So when I read about my own conference bio sheet that I'm putting in as I'm putting it together, I'm impressed. I'm like, man, this is good shit. This is good. Like, this is good.
Great lineup.
Yeah. Not one of these guys needs to be in here. Not one of them needs to even really be doing Bigfoot or speaking, or they all have a life outside this stuff. So they're not up here to glorify themselves. They're here because they're real, and they're going to give you the grit and the reality to what's going on. So, and it's just tremendously diverse. I can't even go into all the detail, but it's amazing. And it's going to be a really neat conference. We're going to have a Bigfoot calling contest, and we've had some really neat prizes contributed as well. We have a lot of authors that are going and put up their book collections, things like this. And we're also having a book signing and a donation ceremony for the museum Friday evening at 7 to 10. It's going to be a 3-hour short deal. It's not by invitation. Anybody's welcome to go, but it's informal. And we're going to give some donations to the museum. I'm going to, Kryder Exploration myself is going to be donating some physical material for the museum itself, and then as well saying some words. And then we're going to have authors there that can also speak, and they're going to be selling and signing their books. And it's a chance for you to go up there in a more intimate kind of a setting, and to kind of be around these people and things. And we also encourage donations to the museum. And if anybody wants to say a few words in tribute with their donation, that'd be great. We're going to give that time. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just sort of did the same thing over in Nebraska. The sweet little old lady Harriet that owns the Nebraska Bigfoot Museum, the Crossroads of America Bigfoot Museum, the other name for it, listed in the Library of Congress. Well, between the pandemic and last year, she didn't do so good. And so we were really trying to make this year a good turnout for her. And as it turned out, we did manage to do that. And, I'll take whatever credit is due. There was a few people on that list that I actually lined up myself to be there. Right. And next year, the trend continues because they're in an even better location at the Nebraska Fairgrounds. It's going to be the same weekend. There's a huge comic convention there. So a crossover audience. And the gentleman I got on the show right now is one of the people that, I also got him to go to this one. I'm not even going to be there next year, but he's going to be there. Blaine Tyler's going to be there. Sabila Irwin's going to be there, and other really good Bigfoot researchers.
But cool. You're not going to be there.
No,
really?
No, I was there 2 years in a row. I just presented 2 years in a row, so very doubtful that they would get me back again for a third year. And I would be against it because I hate traveling to Nebraska. It's too far. I like the museum. I like the people. Harriet's a sweetheart. We had a lot of fun when we were there, but too far to travel for me. And Flatland freaked me out anyway. And I should mention, coming up here next weekend, I'll probably have it done. While we were there, we decided to take a little challenge that I got before we went there. And they said, you're always griping about finding Bigfoot. Let's see you find a Bigfoot in another state, like Nebraska. I went, okay, challenge accepted. How much time do we have? Well, well, we got 1 day because we could show up 1 day early before the conference, and after the conference, we got to leave again. Okay, fine. So I get a hold of Richard Soul from the Knox Gigas Project, who just happens to be 2 hours away from the conference, and went, hey, got any time Thursday to go out field researching? So he took some time off work. He can only get half a day. So between the 2-hour drive time there and the 2-hour drive time back, we had actually 3 hours on the ground to do better than finding Bigfoot and actually find a Bigfoot. And so when you guys see this show, you might want to keep in mind now, the title of it is Inevitably Finding Bigfoot. Because yes, we did in 3 hours in Nebraska, in a suburb. You know what you can do with it, finding Bigfoot.
I love it. I love it.
And hopefully we'll get you on episode number 2. We're lining one up for this summer here in Montana, where it's like shooting fish in a barrel because it's in my hot spot. I'll be the guy on the ground, and we'll get people from all over the country that don't live in this kind of terrain to show up. And that's part of the challenge. We want the researchers from completely different area, different kind of terrain, animals, the whole thing. So they are out of their comfort zone, and they have to use what they've been able to figure out in their own area on this one. And the show we just did, we had Blaine Tyler from Northeast Ontario, Canada. That's way up by the Canadian Shield. So it's completely different than Nebraska. Me and Ashton are from Montana, completely different than Nebraska. And our other team member was Christy from the swamps in Louisiana, completely different than Nebraska. Didn't make any difference. We still did it.
Sure. Yeah, I found that it's from like when we went from the New Mexico high plains and the Rocky Mountains, which are all their own. Even we went all the way to Michigan and the UP, which is completely different than both. Everything was basically the same.
Yeah.
It's the plants and trees are not the same, so you can't really quite use them exactly the same. But they're as much as you could, they do. So if you're going to make a visual marker with a busted limb and let that limb dry up and oxidize and just make little visual flags, well, they're still making visual flags. They just do it with a different limb,
right.
You know, a different kind of tree, you know, in a different way. But if you know what to look for, there they are.
Well, then there's the on-the-ground hazards, too. If you're down wading around in the swamps in Louisiana, poison snakes and bugs. If you're up here, grizzly bears will eat you. So there's different things to worry about in different areas. But what I found most interesting about this whole situation, and we didn't really know if we'd be able to find anything or not. We just went, okay, it's a bet. We'll see what we can do. And we overdid it. But everybody on the team they're all good in general at Bigfooting, but they all have certain things they're really good at.
Mm-hmm.
Blaine Tyler's nickname is Tracker. Well, guess who found the most tracks while we were there? I found a track. Christy found a track. Blaine found a bunch of tracks.
Right.
I found a deer kill. Christy actually spotted 2 of them sitting across the river in the bushes watching us. She's the one that's good at spotting them. No matter where the hell they are, she'll see them. And then I'm the one that always finds the giant structures. Well, I found a whole damn hardwood tree that had been placed 30 feet up in another hardwood tree. So again, it was kind of interesting. It's like everybody here is a good generalist, but they all have certain things they specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
That if there's anything in that category in this area, they're going to spot it.
Right.
Oh, we found scat too. So in addition to deer kill, scat, lots of huge structures, Took 3 whole hours. Woohoo, so hard. Haha, finding Bigfoot. You're a joke.
Exactly. Well, you have to leave the parking lot. So.
Yeah, we barely left the parking lot. We still did it. We didn't have to go very far in the woods.
I know. If they're there, they're there. That's how it works.
Yeah. Well, and I owe a big hats off to Rich Soul for that, because he's the local guy there. And he went, God, we've only got like 3 hours. Well, I can't take you very far up, but there's 2 areas in the suburbs where there's usually signs and activity. I could take you there. And we got enough time to drive in between the 2 of them. You know, so we're like literally in the middle of the suburbs, huge housing complexes on both sides of these little wetland river valleys. It didn't make any damn difference.
No, they will do that preferably sometimes. So if they think they can hide a family unit somewhere like that, they're safer doing that than they are just out there, out and about, both on large predators, other competition. A lot of times there's no hunting. around within city regions, city areas and things, all the deer and all the rabbits and stuff. If you live in the country, you realize all the rabbit and the deer hang around your house.
Yeah.
They do
Because they're
that
safer.
because they're safer. The predators don't, like the rabbits especially. They'll find places cats are and they'll hang out where the cats are, even if the cats don't kill rabbits, because they assist in one way or another keeping them safe. So it's just like, it's the same thing, you know.
Yeah. We've observed that up in my main research area where skittish deer running along, and all of a sudden they see us and they're like, oh, humans, zoom, they run right to our camp. Those are wild deer. They're not supposed to run to humans, and then they're not supposed to hang around your camp for a few hours looking disturbed and paranoid the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's always fun. I always enjoy that. We actually got one that we named Clarice that brought her 2 daughters into camp with her and stayed there all night long. And the next year she showed up, and her 2 daughters are adults now, and she had 2 more little fawns with her. Well, last year was the 4th year she showed up, and over the course of 3 days, she brought in all of her kids from the previous year. She'd been there. They all came wandering through camp with her at one point. We're like, what the hell's going on here?
That's awesome.
Oh, she decided we're friendly, so she could just bring all her kids, parade them into camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
really
our
cool.
house is here. We every year they come back to the house with new ones. And
Yeah.
the little bucks and whatnot come through, and they'll come back when they grow up a little. They'll come back alone. You know, you'll see them. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's also, again, this is, you know, another example how smart these animals are. You don't think deer are very smart or anything, and they're seeing us up there like 3-4 times a year at max.
Right.
And yet they still know who we are when we show up. Oh, we can walk right up to these humans. Hey, you got a donut?
Yeah. Oh, they can. Yeah, they'll recognize individual people. They'd have no problem, and remember you for years. So yeah, that's absolutely true.
Very cool. Well, we got one that hopefully won't come back to camp next year because he was raiding our cookies, eating our cookies, and I got up in the middle of the night and yelled at him too. Quit eating those damn cookies. I was going to give those to the Bigfoot tomorrow, and now you're eating all of them. You guys see him eating your cookies?
I love it.
Blame it on the deer.
Right.
I was just trying to save 2 of them for breakfast, and that was it. And they had all of them. We had like a dozen cookies. And I'm like, what the hell is digging through all these bags? And I opened the tent and look, there's a deer. He's sticking his head in every single bag, trying to dig through anything in there and eat it. And usually they just stay the hell away from camp. So that was weird behavior to start with, you know. Plus he's trying to eat the cookies and stuff.
It just depends on the deer. That's the thing. One deer will act one way, another act another way. So, and some of them can get really pushy for stuff. I mean, they should be scared, and they're not scared enough. Dude, you're not going to last long acting like that, brother.
Yeah, no kidding. Some human will shoot you. And I was down at one of my friends was camped on a little island on a river, and I knew right where his camp was, and I was going to meet him there. And I got there about half an hour before he showed up. And there was cell phone service out there, so I was talking to one of my friends in another state, and there's this doe, and she comes walking up to me, and I'm like, well, this is kind of peculiar. This deer's like walking right up to me, and he's going, really? And I'm like, dude, I can almost reach out and touch her. And he goes, what do you think she wants? I said, I don't know. I'm eating a sub. Maybe she wants some of it. So I held it out to her, a steak sub. She took the whole thing out of my hand and ate it. And I'm like, okay, I think they're lying to me about these deer here in Montana. This one seems carnivorous.
Oh no, they'll munch on stuff like that. They'll eat bones and things like that when they need calcium. They'll eat off carcasses when they need salt. So yeah, you bet.
I found out after my buddy that was camped there got back what was going on is that this island was big enough. There's 3 different campsites on it, and he had been down there for a couple of weeks already. And the doe and one of her fawns were living on the island. And the reason they didn't leave is because there was a mountain lion right across the little river spot on the hillside that was keeping an eye on her and trying to nab that fawn when she got off the island. He wouldn't go onto the island where the humans were. So he was waiting for her to come off the island with the fawn, and she wasn't falling for that. So she was mooching off all the humans so she could keep feeding her fawn until he got big enough to run really fast. And then apparently they got out of there.
Mm-hmm. And keeping her near the humans is the way to keep it safe. So yeah.
Yeah, apparently it worked, and they were all they thought it was pretty funny because they could hear the mountain lion up there bitching pretty much every night, you know, snarling and yelling and come up here, damn it, quit hiding on the island of those humans. You can't do that forever. And the deer's like, the hell I can't do it forever.
Right. I love it. It's good shit.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to mention about your super awesome upcoming conference and exactly what day and place it's at?
Just that I feel it's probably going to be the most comprehensive conference held to date. Just because that's the people and the caliber of individuals we have that'll be presenting. And I think people are going to see some new information, things they've never heard or seen before, presented in the conference spectrum, which I think is going to be incredibly cool. So.
Very nice. Awesome. I wish I could get down there for it, but
so
yeah, make
I.
sure that you just record and live stream all of it so we can all see it afterwards.
Yeah, I got a lot to choreograph. Hopefully I can get to everything and get that done. But it should be wonderful. You know, when anybody wants to show up there, we've got stuff all over Facebook going out in all the groups and things like that. Duke will have the information. Follow up with me anywhere that I'm at. You're welcome to reach out to me. And there's going to be lodging up there. There's camping. It's a wonderful area. There's national forest. They've got streams and everything up there. So campgrounds and the whole 9 yards. So people, it's a wonderful place to go and just spend time. Get up there, do a little bit of Bigfooting in near Honobia, one of the world famous Bigfoot locations. And yeah, make sure to stop and see us and try to spend that as much time as possible with us. Don't want to miss anything. It's going to be good.
Right on. And as of the time you're watching this show, it's next weekend. So make your plans, get your tickets, and haul ass on over there.
Yep, May 20th and 21st, and we're doing the book signing on Friday, which is May 19th. So you guys, if you want to show up for the Friday evening, that's great. But if not, make sure to catch the 20th and 21st. It's at the Choctaw Community Center in Tallahena, Oklahoma. It'll be doors open at 8:30 a.m. for the public, and we're probably going to roll till 9, 10 o'clock like that. So.
Right on. Sounds very awesome. Thanks for coming on the show again, brother, and we want to have you on again soon. Do a show about either just treasure hunting or out-of-place artifacts, which both subjects you're really, really good at that we haven't covered on the show yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have you back again sometime this summer at least.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege. I really appreciate it, Duke. And I know you wanted to help me get word out about this conference, and you always go above and beyond. You're one of the most gracious people I know, and I really appreciate it. This is one show that I don't pass up on doing. I love doing your show. Love working with you. So.
Well, thanks so much, Robert. I really appreciate it. And as far as I'm concerned, you're one of the best Bigfoot researchers on the continent, in addition to all the other stuff you do. And by the way, he makes really great electronic stuff. You want like one of the big electronic ears that's better than a horn or something that you can hear Bigfoot with? He makes them.
Yeah, above and beyond. Yeah, we make one called the KXPD3, and you can actually Google KXPD3 and my name, and they'll pop right up. And yeah, they raise audio sampling to a whole new level.
Yep, I've heard nothing but people drooling over how spectacular the equipment he makes is. And this isn't because I'm here and I'm kissing up because he's on my show or anything. I just hear things all the time. I have lots of spies, and they all go, well, everything Kryder makes is the best on the market. So there you go.
There you go. Thanks.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon. Everybody have a great time, and follow all the usual rules in addition to don't feed donuts to Nessie. So make sure that you're kind to everyone. Safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? And for God's sake, whatever you do, do not hug the Wookiee.